Dressing up roadkill. Fur is humane. The sensitive new age vegan. And all this and more on podcast 70 for the 11th of May, 2007.
Coming to you from high atop their elite fortress of moral superiority, here are your protein-deficient hosts, Bob and Jenna.
Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Bob.
And Jenna.
We're back again for another week of Vegan Freak Radio. Before we get started, I want to warn everyone that here in the great northern tundra of northern New York, the ground has finally thawed, and now our windows are open. So you'll hear all manner of idiotic vehicles going by while we do the show.
And probably the dogs barking at some point.
Oh my God. We've been sitting here for probably a good 40 minutes waiting for the dogs to chill out.
Yeah, there are delivery people going past, and then other people walking their dogs, and just somebody walking past the house, and of course this sets the dogs into a frenzy.
And the dogs hate the men in brown.
They do.
They do. And I don't mean the fascists. I mean UPS. So they hate UPS. When UPS comes, it's like a fucking shitstorm. And UPS comes often because we can't get most of the things we need around here. So UPS comes all the time.
They're our savior.
The dogs go crazy all the time. But anyway, enough of our whining. Enough. You do not tune into Vegan Freak Radio to hear us whine.
No, you hear us rant.
You may tune into other podcasts to hear people whine, but you do not tune into Vegan Freak Radio to hear anyone whine about anything. So we're here to tell you we've got a lot of stuff going on this week. I've got some ass announcements. Why did I spell it like that?
I don't know.
On the outline.
You have it even written on the outline.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't even notice that until now.
I was like, it was one of those, the dogs running around the house barking. Our dogs, when they get started, they can't stop. Like, it's like, oh my God, I gotta bark at that, gotta bark at that, gotta bark. And I was just going crazy. I was like, fucking ass announcements. I was just mad. Anyway, for subscribers, we were remiss in the month of April in getting to you with a subscriber show. So we were going to do one this weekend, and we will also have some news and small giveaways and things like that for you to talk about with our subscribers. Also, we got a donation, a monetary donation, a very generous one. Thank you. Well, actually, any of them are very generous.
Yes, any amount.
And I wanted to say thanks. This is from Drash on the forums, and she sent us the donation because Misanthropy and Living in Photographs on the forums. Yes, they are married. I think now we can finally say definitively that they are married. Everybody doubted it at first, but they really are. Sent her some stuff, and they wouldn't take the money for shipping, so she decided to send the money to us.
Cool.
We are fine with that. No, but thank you. Any money like that goes towards the production cost for the show. And finally, next week we have some things in our little review queue that we'll be dealing with. The first thing is we received this cool looking little new magazine called Tofu, Tofu, Living and Breathing Vegan in a World That Smells Fishy. And this is from Claire and Ryan. And we'll get into a review of this next week. Talk about some of what's going on here.
Cool.
So thank you for that. And we also have a DVD, do we not?
We do. And I completely forget what it's called.
We should have written
that down. It's a cooking DVD that's out recently. You may have seen it around. It's been announced on the blogs. And Drina Burton's involved in it. And Brianna Clark-Rogan's involved. And Julie Hassan, is that her name?
Yes.
Also. And it's... sounds like it's got a lot of great recipes and everything, so we will also review that next week.
There we go. So we got a lot of things coming at you. We are ready to roll. Let's get into the tofu of the show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't want to use...
Of course not, no.
Well, I made a mistake once of writing a critique of Joan Donaire, who's written the book Speciesism. And in my critique, I used the word it to describe a hen, which admittedly was a poor choice of words, right? I recognize that. But they have since used that. They have hoisted me with my own petard, to use an expression. And they keep using that to argue that I am in fact speciesist, and therefore my arguments don't make any sense.
I see. But if you listen to our show, when I talk about babies, I call them its.
I do too.
So, equal treatment. There you go.
It was actually really just a fuck up. It really was. But it's a telling fuck up because I think we all live in a world in which we have latent speciesism in us. I mean, any white people that work for racial justice have within them latent racism. I have within me. I'm not happy to admit it, but I can admit it. I have latent speciesism within me, and I'm trying very consciously to work that out of my life. So, but that's no reason to excuse my argument, because if we regress backwards into this kind of place where we have these PC speech codes out of 1980s U.S. Academy, they don't do anything, right? It just makes it all covert. We need to talk about it, get it out there. Anyway, moving onward. What do you want to do? We have some news.
Yes, we do. This one is, it's called a water cooler story, apparently.
A water cooler story.
That's what it's labeled as.
Is this the roadkill thing? Mm-hmm. That's from Rena.
Who?
From Rena.
Rena, okay.
So I like to thank people when they send us
I just didn't hear what you said, that's all.
It's on the outline.
Yes, it is. Okay. It's entitled Student Tries to Make Roadkill Pretty. For the past several weeks, drivers near Southern Illinois University Edwardsville have been noticing odd things about some of the roadkill on the sides of the area's highways. Some of the dead possums and raccoons have been dressed in pet or human baby clothes and have had their claws painted with nail polish. The carcass of a deer has been adorned with gold paint. The culprit is SIU Edwardsville graduate art student Jessica May, 24, of West Lafayette, Indiana. In an interview with the Belleville News-Democrat, May said that she's not an animal rights activist. She is just interested in seeing if people would give more thought to the animals if they were somehow given human attributes. I think this is my way of slowing down and paying homage to these animals, she explained. I don't particularly find it offensive, but I understand why some people who don't understand what I'm doing could find it that way. May, a 2006 graduate of Purdue University, says she takes precautions in dealing with the carcasses. I wear gloves, she said. I don't know I could touch it with my bare hands because by the time I find them, they're pretty far gone.
Tampered in, dioxide stuffed.
I think that sounds weird.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's bizarre.
We have yet to talk about this.
That's true.
I thought we would just go extemporaneous on the show here. What's your initial reaction? Is this a vegan thing to do?
Probably not.
So would you say it's not vegan?
Yeah, I guess. That's my initial reaction. It's just fucking weird.
I thought it was a little weird. I mean, it seems a little serial killerish to me in a way, like, I don't know. But on the other hand, people find it disturbing because it humanizes the carcasses.
True.
Thus, when I first saw the story, they didn't know who was doing it. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that I thought was art student.
Right.
Oh, I've been around college campuses for the last 20 years or however long. How old am I? No, not 20. 15 years or so, right? Mm-hmm. You see, I've never seen a carcass dressed up, but I have seen, art projects,
True.
and they tend to have this kind of feel to them on occasion.
True.
I don't know. Maybe you all out there could tell us what you think. I think it's a little weird.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Did we print the email from Rena?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Not.
I mean, part of me thinks that maybe this is a little stunt someone's doing to get attention. Mm-hmm. As an artist, like, ooh, you're so deep.
Right.
But another part of me thinks, well, it could humanize animals, make people think about what an animal is.
True. I mean, people dress up their pets in weird clothing. So if you dress up at roadkill as in weird clothing, I guess maybe you're pointing to the difference. Like, why do we treat roadkill differently than we treat dogs and cats?
Well, also, I don't know if it's the same person. I think it is. I read another article where someone left a baby deer, a fawn, I guess you call them fawn.
Yeah, I saw that.
Outside of a theater with a little note on it saying, if you think I'm cute, you should see my mommy.
Yeah, that's weird.
I think that's probably the same person. It's in the same area, right?
I don't know.
So actually, this is from Illinois. The other one I thought was in Washington. I could be wrong about that. But
anyway.
It
was in Seattle.
So there you go. Who knows? A bunch of weirdos out there.
It is.
Probably among our listenership.
Who knows? I don't know. But we've said in the past, like if you use feathers and shells and stuff in your artwork, that's not vegan. But then again, she's not moving them either. So I don't know.
It's weird. I don't know.
It's a real weird area.
Well, I think it's strange. Maybe we could have some reactions to that from you, our kind audience.
Okay.
So let's move on. We've got, oh my, do we ever have Meat Makes You Stupid segments? Do we not?
Play it.
Oh my. So we got this email from Chad, and he tells me I shouldn't even bother to try to say his last name on air if I even consider saying it. His last name is Chabot. I don't speak French, but sounds like Chabot to me. Although around here, because we are relatively close to Quebec, people would say this in a very fucked up way. Mm-hmm. Probably Shabbat or something.
Probably.
Anyway, he wrote to us and said, "Have you seen this yet? How could you not, of course?" And it's an article called, "I'd rather wear fur than go naked." And he writes, "Asshat, triple asshat. Stuff like this makes it hard for me not to let loose with the angry, rampaging, vigilante vegan." So I will read you his comments after we've read this. This is a commentary from Brendan O'Neill. This is in the commentisfreeguardian.co.uk site. And it's from March. I don't know why we haven't been on this, but I'll read it. It's infuriating. So I'll just read the whole thing for you. Sit back and relax. Story time with Bob. Actually, it's speciesist fuckhead story time with Bob. Okay. Brendan says, "There's a new sport in town. Hunt the fur-wearing celeb. It involves packs of paparazzi stalking out posh pubs and clubs where they wait for the first sporting beast to emerge from the shadows. Then they shoot with their cameras and string up their victims for all to see in the pages of the following day's tabloids. Madonna was recently spotted wearing dead chinchillas, and Kate Moss was spied wrapped up in mink. These days, probably only the worst fate that can befall a celeb than to be caught wearing a fur coat is to be caught with child porn on their hard disk. The latest victim of the great celebrity fur hunt is Heather Mills. It was revealed earlier this week that in 1989, yes, nearly 20 years ago, Ms. Mills wore her mum's mink to a wedding. Given that she is now a spokesperson for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, accusations of hypocrisy have been flying around. An old friend of Heather's told a newspaper with barely concealed glee, she really loved that coat. She styled herself as an anti-fur campaigner, but was proud to be in her mother's mink. I don't see what all the fur fuss is about. If it's okay to eat animals, hunt animals, keep animals as pets, and wear the hides of animals in the form of leather jackets and leather shoes, why is it not okay to wear animals' fur too? What really lies underneath the skin of today's anti-fur hysteria is a discomfort with man's domination of nature and beast. Fur, where we take an animal's coat and make it our own, is just too explicit an expression of man's control over nature for some people to handle. Behind the fury over fur lies a distrust and disdain for human civilization, which is why it's worth defending fur these days. The anti-fur movement is motivated by a base and childish anthropomorphism, by a belief that animals have similar feelings to humans and thus should be protected from the pain and distress caused by the fur industry. Bunnies killed for fur scream as they are skinned alive, says Pete in his various protests against J-Lo, Julian McDonald, and other celebs and designers who wear or make fur. Well, actually, they don't make the fur. The animals do. Perhaps the bunnies also say to each other, Bambi style, "Run, bunny, run," as the wicked fur hunter bears down on them with his evil, shiny knife. The implication of the infamous anti-fur ad that showed a woman in a fur being attacked by burly men, clubbed around the head, and stripped of her coat is that there is little difference between hunting an animal and hunting a human. We're all living creatures with feelings and thoughts, aren't we? So why is it okay to skin a screaming bunny rabbit but not one of our fellow human beings? In fact, it is not at all clear that animals feel pain in anything like the same way that humans do. Dr. Stuart Derbyshire, I guess, an expert in pain at the University of Birmingham, says the fact that an animal might scream or recoil when trapped or threatened does not show that it has an appreciation of pain, much less a human-like thought process. Chop the head off of a chicken and it will continue to run around. If you catch the headless chicken quickly and stick a pin in its foot, it will still flinch despite no longer having a head or a brain, says Derbyshire. Derbyshire. I don't know. How does one say that? These reflex responses are coordinated by a spinal motor loop and do not involve the brain or require conscious experience. It is profoundly different for humans who are threatened or trapped. Our human consciousness means, actually, if your head is cut off, it is not profoundly different for you. Anyway, our human...
Yeah, I was going to say, like this has ever been tested on a human? How do you know if you cut off a human's head and poke it in its foot if the human doesn't do the same fucking thing?
Humans have those exact same kind of jerking motions when...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, our human consciousness, just a little more, and we can dissect. We can vivisect this article. Our human consciousness means we experience pain and distress in a much more powerful way. A human can think to himself, I could die today. A supremely terrifying thought. But an animal is incapable of thinking, I could die today, as Derbyshire explains. Animals do not understand the concept of today unless we think foxes use calendars and keep diaries. Or die unless we think that mink have funeral rites. Or could because they have no sense of probabilistic inference. Or even I because they have no sense of self. Such concepts are uniquely human, says Derbyshire. Sure, here. Sorry. I'm coming. Is this too slow for you?
No.
You want to stop it here?
No.
Okay. So while my response and the bunny rabbit's response to being chased by a knife-wielding man might look similar, both of us would run like the wind and possibly scream. They could not be more different. My consciousness means I would experience it as painful and chilling, whereas the bunny is motivated only by a base instinct for survival bestowed upon it by the evolutionary process. It is cheap and crass to compare animal experience with human experience and to call for equal treatment of beast and man. Today's fashion for protecting feeling animals from uncouth and uncaring humans expresses a broader disdain for the gains of humanity. The notion that we have no right to experiment on animals or to eat them or to keep them in cages or to wear their fur, notions that are increasingly indulged in mainstream debate as well as on the fur-hating fringes, represents a direct assault on the very basis of human civilization. Civilization is built upon the idea that we are morally superior to animals, and it was only through the subjugation of animals that civilization could emerge and flourish. Only by taming beasts or removing them from large parts of land can we build towns and cities. Only by housing chickens and livestock in factory-like spaces can we guarantee feeding millions of humans. He's not done. 2 more paragraphs. Today, many express their anti-humanity through being pro-animal. Their adoption of animals as poor little fluffy screaming victims is motivated by a desire to rein in human excess or human hubris. For them, the imprisoned pig comes to symbolize man's greed. The wired-up monkey, our apparently bizarre obsession with experimentation and progress. The screeching rabbit, our wickedly violent streak. These animalists cannot see that our use of animals is fundamentally humane. We imprison pigs and other animals in order to liberate large sections of mankind from hunger and need. We put monkeys in cages in order to develop our understanding of medicine and thus improve and save millions of human lives. And yes, even fur is humane. To turn an animal into a fur coat is to ennoble it. As a fashion item, an animal acquires significance far beyond its own natural existence. Indeed, the only true purpose in the life of a mink or rabbit is bestowed on it by the hunter, skinner, and fur maker. Through their efforts, an animal is elevated from an instinct-driven bundle of reflex responses to an item worthy of being displayed in Paris, London, and New York. Through human endeavor and labor, an animal is given a use and meaning that nature could never have designed for it. What is a mink but a wild beast scrabbling for food along riversides, destined to die and rot in the shade of a tree? The mink worn by Kate Moss was spared this fate and made into something memorably beautiful. No finer fate can befall an animal than to be caught by a fur hunter.
Wow, that is just the height of speciesism.
Well, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's why.
There's a book called Putting Humans First that I discuss in my own book where the author says, we are nature's favorite and we have every right to be.
What fucking hubris.
It's basically the same argument that we've dominated nature. Nature is in fact a force of domination, and so that domination is justified by the natural progression of the world.
Yeah, and we're doing oh so well, and we're not destroying our environment or anything. We're not fucking up the planet,
Oh no.
No.
But you know what's interesting though? He's actually right about one thing.
Yeah, there was one line in there. But yeah, he's like, why is fur any worse than leather,
Exactly.
meat, etc.?
Exactly. I think what this article does is show some of the idiotic responses, that come with these kinds of fur campaigns. It's like, why focus on fur? Why not leather? Why not everything else that we consume? These things are no less cruel.
Right, they're all cruel. But what he doesn't understand in this article, too, is that he keeps talking about fur hunters, and I would think very little fur actually comes from hunting. Yeah. Most of it comes from farming. A significant
amount of it is actually farmed.
Yeah. So it's just, he has like no concept of what actually goes on to get his, these products. And the fact that he talks about ennobling, that's such fucking bullshit.
It is bullshit. It's like, the argument is, if I were to wear your skin, if you were to die and I were to make a lampshade of your skin, this was a common practice, unfortunately, during some part of the 20th century, right?
Right.
If I were to make a lampshade of your skin, that would ennoble you.
Right.
You lowly Jew.
Yes. Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I hate to draw those kinds of inferences, but I can't help but think of it that way.
Yeah, well, it's all about hierarchy and domination. It's the same process that leads to this. And what him saying that, we cannot put animals on the same plane. Well, you know what? They do feel pain. I love how he brings out the one scientist who, says,
Dr. Stuart Derbyshire.
Exactly.
Shire.
Yeah.
Sure.
Whereas, there's plenty of literature out there that shows that, animals do feel pain. How can this Derbyshire guy say that the recoil does not mean that they what was that again?
Because they tend to think of animals as these Cartesian models, right?
You kick
it and it cries, and it's just its whinging gears, right?
18th century of them.
Well, yeah. Actually,
the fact that an animal might scream or recoil when trapped or threatened does not show that it is appreciative of pain. What does it show then? What does that mean? It's you can't just say, okay, even if it is just a reflex,
A physiological reaction.
well, it's a physiological reaction, and it still means something to the animal.
Actually,
obviously.
what's interesting though is the argument that he's using can be turned around, right? I mean, he goes on to say that humans have a kind of more acute appreciation of pain because we have the psychological machinery to go along with our pain. So we can understand the future. We know we're going to die, right? That kind of stuff bothers us, and that's essentially what he's arguing. But you could actually make a similar argument for animals in that they don't have a mental capacity for understanding pain in the same way we do.
So it's even scarier.
So it's even scarier, right? I
Sure.
mean, you and I, if we go to the doctor and the doctor does a painful procedure to us, we understand that painful procedure has in it benefit. If we take Mole to the doctor, the vet, what does he do? He shakes. He's scared to death. He has no idea that the procedure has any kind of rational outcome. For him, there's much more fear involved in that situation.
Yeah.
And you could take that situation and apply it to many other
Of course.
different contexts.
How do we know that animals don't have a concept of death? I mean, they fight to stay alive.
Well, yeah,
I mean, that seems to me to mean something.
exactly. It is the problem of other minds.
Right,
I mean, we
of
do not
course.
know, we do not know exactly what any other animal or any other human is thinking. We cannot know that. We do not have at a metaphysical level, we don't have access to another human's, thought process
Right.
directly.
We're not telepaths or empaths or anything from Star Trek.
We're no teeps here, right?
Right, exactly.
We can look at the external phenomena and make a conclusion from those, right? So if I kick you and you cry, and if I kick the dog and he cries, there is in fact some kind of comparison that can be made there.
But that whole thing is so full of these myths about what animal rights activists think.
Well, and also there's this whole idea, of course, where he's saying that we use animals to feed humanity. I mean, what the fuck?
I know. Yeah. We. Well, as all our listeners know, we don't need animals to survive.
And he's in the European Union. I
Yeah.
mean, let's even go further, right? In the European Union, I mean, how many gallons of milk a year are dumped away to keep milk prices up?
Exactly.
We do the same thing in the U.S., but it's actually even worse in the EU, or at least it was when we lived there, and I was doing some research on this process. So, it's like it's a ridiculous question that we're using these products to feed these vast swaths of humanity.
Yeah, exactly. This is then why is so much of humanity starving?
Exactly. 900 million people,
Yeah.
900 million people right now in the entire world are food insecure and do not know where their next meal is coming from. 40-some million of those are in the United States.
Yeah.
The fuck? So I don't, of course that's ridiculous. And also this whole idea that, humans are in fact the right stewards of the planet. And we should in fact dominate nature because, well, we're damn good at it. Why shouldn't we?
Right.
And it's this, we should embrace our domination of nature and run with it. I mean, isn't that what's gotten us into the trouble to begin with? Like you said,
Yeah.
the whole thing to start out, this is why the earth is in the fucking shitter, people. Do we need to continue down that path?
Not at all.
Mary Bookchin writes very eloquently about this whole question of domination hierarchy and how the imposition of hierarchy is essentially the problem. I mean, I'm not going to go any further.
See, the annoying thing is, if that guy wrote that article about how men should dominate women because, well, they're stronger, right? And they're taller and they're bigger and, well, they own most of the property and they, are superior. If you wrote that kind of shit in the paper today, he would be fucking, run up a flagpole.
No, he would be appointed to a high position in the Bush
Oh,
administration.
that too.
Probably the Supreme Court.
Yeah, probably, actually.
I think his name is Roberts, or is it Kennedy? Well, Kennedy wasn't appointed
Scalia?
Scalia.
You got to pick.
Well, there's Scalito, too.
Oh, yeah,
Antonin-
Alito, yeah.
Yeah. Alito, right?
Yeah.
Scalito. They just call him Scalito because
Right.
Scalia light.
But it wouldn't be surprising me if he actually thought that about women.
Oh, God,
because
no.
that goes along with his paradigm
Well, this
of,
is-
we got to dominate.
This is completely fucking Nietzschean. I mean, it's
yeah.
the strong shall rule the weak. And might does not make right. I can't
not
believe
at
that
all.
it does.
Not at all.
I can't believe that it would. So,
God, we could rant about this article for days.
I know,
There's so much to pick apart in it.
Yeah,
Well, what does Chad say about it?
oh, right. Chad says, and yes, even fur is humane. To turn an animal into a fur coat is to ennoble it. As a fashion item, an animal, and he just kind of quotes one part of that last part, and he goes, right. So, I don't know, man.
Okay, yeah. We need something cleansing after that, man. That's just so enraging.
Yeah, we do. We need something cleansing.
But we do actually have a part 2 to our Meat Makes You Stupid segment
We do indeed.
from Randy.
Yeah, and I want to thank Randy for this. Randy's always sending me interesting links. Randy, you know who you are. Let's play this. This is from YouTube. So I'll put the link up in the show notes.
Do you know what the term vegan means?
No, I don't, sir.
Do you know what a vegan is?
Is it a woman?
Do you know what the term vegan means?
No, we don't. Marla, do you know what a vegan is?
A vegan?
Oh,
No. I don't. What's a vegan? I don't know. It's an alien?
Or do you guys know what the term vegan means?
A vegetarian of sorts, I believe.
Yes, and what kind?
I don't know what the ethnic variety is.
My name is Dolly Mukhopadhyay. Actually, we are from Niagara Falls, New York. How do you spell it?
Vegan.
No idea.
Wrestler or what? Wrestling, who does wrestling?
Do you know what a vegan is?
Who does wrestling?
No. Let me see. Vegan. Bug of some kind? A bug of some kind? I have no idea. What a weekend is.
A vegan.
A vegan. No, actually I don't.
Vegan? No. No, I don't.
Do you know what the term vegan means?
No.
Do you know what a vegan is?
No, I don't know.
A vegan? Is that a candy bar?
And what is your answer? Do you know what a vegan is?
Vegetarian, right?
It's someone who doesn't eat meat or cheese or meat or cheese. I know it's a dietary thing. That's all I can. That's all I know.
Julio, we're asking people if they know what a vegan is. Do you know
Vegan? No, I have no idea what vegan is.
Okay.
We are from the planet Vega.
I am indeed from Vega. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
I actually thought about doing a similar thing here before I saw this. Last year, remember, I told you I wanted to get the
yeah.
mini disc recorder and go to the
Yeah.
post office in Potsdam and ask people if they knew.
Yeah.
I thought I would try that. I didn't want to get punched in the face, though.
Yeah.
Actually, around here, people wouldn't.
No, people are pretty friendly.
This isn't Western Pennsylvania.
True.
No offense, people. We have Western
Yes,
Pennsylvania
okay.
listeners, but, it's like Appalachia, So, anyway, I like the one, a candy bar
Or a bug.
or a bug. But here's the thing, right? I bet if you asked all those people, do you know what PETA is? They would say, yeah, it's those not right wing, it's those left wing wacko extremist animal people. If everybody knows who PETA is, they should know what a fucking vegan is.
Yeah. But they don't.
That's what I
That should
think.
tell us something. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. So, I don't know.
Got a lot of work to do, apparently.
I have a sound effect I want to play.
Okay.
What if a monkey made you a sandwich? Would you eat it then?
Everybody knows Steven the Vegan, correct?
I would think.
We
by
played
now.
Steven the Vegan on the show.
Yeah, we did.
Way back, long ago.
back when.
I like this one too.
Congratulations. You've killed a sentient being.
Anyway, right. So are we done with the?
I think we're done with the Meat Makes You Stupid.
Okay.
Jeez.
Right. So every so often we get these emails from people that say, guys, you're very angry. You have a lot of bile, and you're all full of piss and vinegar, and you're always complaining. And you would really do a much better job if you didn't curse, and if you dropped the anger, and if maybe you embraced a little bit of the positive aspect of life. So, what we did was we've invited a new segment on the show, and this is the Sensitive New Age Vegan. We're going to let this roll for you, so I hope you enjoy it. Hello, brothers and sisters. Before we begin, we should do a centering exercise. Now close your eyes Breathe in to a count of 7. Visualize yourself inhaling the cosmos. Be one with the universe. Get in touch with the vibrational energies. Good. Exhale now. Excellent. Now we should be centered. You know, friends, you could do this little exercise anywhere, anytime to calm yourself. I want to begin by offering a warm thanks to 3 different entities. First, my native spirit guide, Chief Wana Tokabanga, providing a path for me. Second, I wish to channel the happy spiritual energy of the cosmos to my fellow vegan friends Bob and Jenna for offering me a segment on their show. I hope to provide a balance to their anger, for as His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, anger is the real destroyer of our good human qualities. An enemy with a weapon cannot destroy these qualities, but anger can. Anger is our real enemy. Hopefully, with this segment, some meditation, and powerfully energetic crystals I gave them, we can all learn to overcome the beast that is anger, like Bob and Jen are working on. Now, move with me, if you will, into a space of peace and acceptance. Let's be open to the forces that move us, to the spirits that surround us, and to the holism that is the universe. Good, brothers and sisters, good. Friends, for this first show, I thought I'd share with you an experience I had the other day. I was reading Will Tuttle's book, The World Peace Diet. Will says that if you consume meat, you're consuming the vibrational energies of the beings that have suffered to produce that meat for you. Only by avoiding meat, friends, can you avoid the vibrational energies that create and draw so much negativity into the universe. To me, friends, this was such a powerful and insightful idea. It stuck with me, and I felt like I had to share it with you. So, friends, on this, my first appearance with Vegan Freak Radio, my thought is a simple one. If you aren't a vegan, you're imbibing all of that negative energy. You're not putting positive power into the cosmos, friends. To remain unblocked, to channel energy correctly, I urge you to continue in your veganism or to start veganism, to open your life to the suffering of others, and to open your life to the suffering of yourself. And with that, dear friends, I'll leave you in good health and harmony with the Great Oneness. Before I go, though, I urge you to forward any questions you may have for me to Bob and Jenna, and I promise I will answer them next time I am fortunate enough, through the machinations of the cosmos, to have an audience with you. Until next time, friends, live positively as one with everything, and remember, anger is the real destroyer of our good human qualities. Peace, brothers and sisters, peace. And now I think I need to clean out my brain.
That's
Okay, that was Pathetic Humanity by Osram. That came from, well, I don't remember who. Either it's from Angry Duck or from New York Punk Vegan, both of whom send us music on a fairly regular basis, and we want to thank them both for that, for sending music. I think it's from Andy, from Angry Duck. But in any case, we will play songs that both of those folks have sent us, and we appreciate that song very much. If you do have a question for the sensitive New Age vegan, if you wish to inquire of his wisdom, you may do so. Send us an email and we will forward it or make sure it gets answered. So, indeed. Yeah.
Anger is an energy.
Thank you, Public Image Limited.
You're welcome.
You've got mail.
Okay, let's see here. Cialis? No, don't need that. Bigger bus size? No. Free iPod. Oh, it might do that. Oh, are you pleasing your woman? Well, you better ask her. Oh, well, what's this? Vegan freak email? Vegan freak email.
Yes. Okay, I got a couple emails for you this week we're going to talk about. Do you have a preference?
Do you want me to read this long one?
Sure.
Okay. This is from Matt. He says, I'm writing from sunny San Luis Obispo, California. Like your friends in Alberta, I don't know many vegans here, but fortunately we have a few vegan-friendly restaurants, including at least 3 that know what a vegan is. Hey, that's a start. I've been vegan for just over a month after 3 years of vegetarianism. I spent a week in Waikiki 2 months ago and almost started eating meat again. The veggie food choices were so abominable, I couldn't take it anymore. Really?
Vegan.
That surprised me because there's a lot of Asian food there.
But if you don't like Asian food, you're fucked.
Yeah, I guess. Much like your stories in Vegan Freak, I had forgotten why I had adopted a vegetarian lifestyle in the first place. This experience, plus a delicious meal at Vegan Plate in Studio City, California, reinvigorated me. I bought your book right away, and it helped me feel like I wasn't alone, that my gut instincts about animal exploitation were not unfounded, and that vegan was not, quote-unquote, too extreme a diet if I truly wanted to live by my ideals. Thank you. Getting to the point, I'm writing because there are several areas I'm confused about. It's been thoroughly beaten into me that it's nearly impossible to be 100% vegan, and I will always partake in some small degree of animal consumption in my daily life. This doesn't stop the vegan critics from pointing out every little inconsistency in my lifestyle. So really getting to the point. I take medication that was undoubtedly tested on animals. It is 100% necessary in my life. It would be foolish for me to stop taking it. This bothers me. Should we
answer
that first? Yeah.
Sure. Earlier on the show, we talked about how we live in a society that is indeed structured in speciesism.
Mm-hmm.
All prescription medicine. It's like an addiction. All prescription medicine, to my knowledge, is, as a requirement, tested on animals in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, you have no choice as a member of a society that is, in fact, structured in speciesism, but to take this medicine.
Exactly.
Just like if there is something else in society you need to consume, odds are great that it is not produced in fair ways or in equitable ways or by labor that was treated well. And yet we have to consume these things, right? So I look at it from that perspective. If it's you're going to die or you must take this medicine, then you must take the medicine.
Yeah, I mean, if you can do no good for veganism if you're dead. I mean,
exactly.
You have to take care of your health first and foremost. And there are some prescriptions that, are not necessary, like that you can do to avoid. Like if you take good care of yourself and eat a healthy diet and everything, some of these things you can avoid, but there are certain things that you just can't do anything about and you have to take the pill.
Absolutely. So prevention, I think we need to emphasize prevention, but
sure, exactly.
In the absence of prevention, there are things you must take, even if you've been preventative in your health, and that's the way it goes.
Yep, it's unfortunate, but
I know people out there probably disagree with us, but I don't think that they would have a compelling reason for disagreeing with us.
No. Okay, next point. I bought a used car and got an amazingly sweet once-in-a-lifetime deal on it. It's got very, very leather seats. This also bothers me.
We can just... Is there a lot more?
No.
Okay.
Well, if you bought it pre-gan, it's not like... We always say with pre-gan things is you either get rid of it, you use it till it wears out, or you give it away, something like that. So there's a couple different things you can do with it, and with shoes, for instance, it's easy because you can wear your shoes until they wear out, or you can just give them away. Because for me, it started to bother me to really wear my leather shoes, and so I just stopped wearing them, and then I just gave them away.
Yeah, me too.
So, but with your car, well, I mean,
It's a tough call.
It's a tough call.
You got to do what you got to do.
If you can't afford a new car, well then you got to use that car.
I mean, there are also animal products in the tires. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
For a lot of people, it's just a question of what's kind of morbid in a way, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of unfortunate things that we did before becoming vegan that unfortunately we can't undo, you know?
Not easily, no.
Not easily. So now that your consciousness is raised, now if the next time you go to buy a car, you don't buy a car with leather seats.
There you go.
There you go. Okay. I have not any remorse for giving up animal commodities in my life except one thing, Diet Coke. I've been told it isn't vegan, say it ain't so. Technically, it's vegan in terms of its content.
It was probably though the aspartame was tested on animals.
So that's your decision. Okay. And Coke's not like a great company either.
I'm not even going to get involved in that fight. I mean,
Yep, I know.
we had to fight all that with the forums a long time ago, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so it's up to you. Okay. Anyway, lastly, I know nobody is more devoted to any cause than the
Ups
recently.
is coming.
Oh no!
Go ahead.
Expect dog barking. I know that nobody is more devoted to any cause than the recently converted. I'm now constantly disgusted by people who consume hot plates of animal 3 times a day.
Gross.
Yes. How do you stop yourself from developing into an elitist, miserable asshole?
You don't. You just become one
You just
and
become
embrace
one.
it.
Exactly. I'm not an animal lover by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, no.
Here we go. The UPS guy.
Technical difficulties have occurred.
Okay, you may hear a little bit of noise in the background. We're back.
UPS guy is gone.
UPS guy came
Of course,
and
he
left.
usually comes in the morning, but today, no, he has to come in the afternoon.
Yeah, usually they come in the AM, but
All right.
we gave the dogs each a piece of cardboard.
He love to chew on cardboard.
It's like their favorite thing in the world. And
Why not?
why not? You know, it makes a mess, but who cares?
Okay, now to finish the email that I was reading earlier.
Yeah.
Right. He says, I'm not an animal lover by any stretch of the imagination. Animals smell funny to me. I don't have any pets, but fuck, that doesn't mean I should fucking eat them.
There you go.
Yes, thank you for letting me rant and ask questions.
Humans smell funny to me, but I don't eat them either. So
So how do you stop yourself from developing into elitist, miserable asshole? I don't know.
No, I mean, it's difficult. I think part of it has to do with having some. I think it's important to have some vegan friends, whether they're virtual friends or real friends.
Yeah, I mean, come rant somewhere.
It's
I
important.
think ranting helps to someone who
Yeah.
who understands.
I think that's it, and generally trying to remain positive about what's going on. I know it's a depressing thing to think about, but also you have to try to remain positive in that you are living your life in a way that you believe to be positive. And I think that's something.
Yeah, and I do think it gets easier in time too. I mean, I had to put up with a lot of not very vegan things this week, and I just sort of, brushed it aside, laughed at it, and just said, "All right, you got to pick your battles. It's going to happen. So I'm just going to do what I can to change the world. Otherwise."
There you go.
Okay.
Well, thank you for that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We've been watching Little Britain, season 1, and needless to say, I've been poorly imitating all of the characters on it, walking around the house.
They're so funny.
But they are. Anyway, moving on. Next email we have here is from Rose. And Rose says, "Hey, Bob and Jen, I just recently read Committed by Dan Matthews, the memoir of the vice president of PETA, or whatever he is. And I was just wondering if either of you read it and what you thought about it. Now, I haven't read it, and I can't see myself ever reading it.
No.
I would read it if it were a matter of having to read it to debate someone, for example. Or were I to debate Dan Matthews, I would have read his work. But when I first started reading it, what's wrong, Jenna?
Nothing.
Throwing me dirty looks.
No.
When I first started reading it, I got really into it, and it was really cool to hear about why he was vegan, all the really cool activism PETA did when he first started working there, like crashing Calvin Klein's office and spray painting kills under his name and other cool stuff like that. So I was really inspired to go to PETA.com and see if I could do stuff like that. But when you go to the website, it directs you to the PETA 2 website, which is nothing but the latest music videos and just complete crap. So I kept reading the book, and suddenly it was nothing but this guy talking about all the fabulous celebrities he met, and it just got totally lame. His memoir is exactly like PETA in how it started out in a good cause, really getting involved and making a difference, and just turned into nothing but talking to all these different celebrities and selling out and praising people like Temple Grandin just because it will make PETA more famous. Fucking dog. All in all, it just really pissed me off. Now I know that PETA is officially the biggest sellout in history, and this guy is the biggest douchebag ever. So yeah, could I agree more with you? No, I probably could not agree more with you. So that is from Rose. I haven't read that book, but if any of you out there have, let us know what you think of it. I suspect that it sucks pretty hardcore. And, as we were talking about earlier, I think this is kind of what happens when you end up with an organization that seeks money and attention above almost everything else.
I agree.
Good.
I was trying to keep the dogs occupied there.
They are being so bad today.
We took them for a 2.5 mile run.
I know. That's not enough.
And it was warm out today.
I know. It's very swampy in here. Very swampy. Okay. I'll read the next email.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here you go.
All right.
Read it.
Cool. This is from Amber. She says, I started listening to the podcast a few weeks ago after I decided to go vegetarian, primarily for environmental and human rights reasons. I've been eating quote-unquote happy meat, eggs, milk, for a while now, but I decided to go veg altogether when I turned 25. I've been making my way through the back episodes, and after hearing you guys talk about the cruelty and killing inherent in the so-called cruelty-free organic milk, free-range eggs, etc., I've decided that happy milk /egg /cheese is pretty much a lie. It is. And I decided to go vegan. Yay! It's my 3rd day as a vegan now, and I'm going strong so far. I just want to let you guys know you made a difference in another vegetarian's head, and I'm paying a lot more attention to animal rights issues now. Please keep up the great work. Later, Amber from Norfolk, Virginia.
Excellent. So happy to hear that.
Yes.
And remember,
vegans don't eat eggs.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad, because you need to make these connections. I mean, vegetarianism participates directly in the exploitation of animals. It is not, a vegetarian diet is not consistent with an abolitionist perspective that seeks to accord animals the rights they deserve as sentient beings.
Yep. Because eggs kill and dairy kills, and there's no way around it.
All right. So we had an email from Madeline. Madeline says, hello, Bob and Jenna. I'm a high schooler. Yes, I have my mom's permission to listen to you. Please don't get your mom's permission. That means your mom may be listening. And while I would say we're not mom friendly, that's not true. We have a lot of mothers who listen. We're maybe just not mom friendly if the mom isn't into veganism. But anyway, she says that I'm a high schooler in northern Wisconsin, hunter country, and I absolutely love your show. I'm constantly bombarded with questions about veganism and vegetarianism. I love being able to refute people's fallacious ideas about this lifestyle. However, one question that keeps coming up that I really have trouble answering, I would like some help from you guys on. Almost everyone around here hunts or has a family member who hunts, and they acknowledge how horrible factory farming is, but seem to think that killing animals themselves in the wild is okay. They tend to say that there is such a high deer population that people need to hunt to control it, or the deer will just die wastefully. And since the deer would just die anyway from starvation due to overpopulation, they might as well kill the deer themselves. Another point they make is that wild predators who kill animals cause much more suffering to the prey than a clean bullet death from a human. Hunting animals seems so barbaric and unnecessary to me, but I need some advice on how to logically present an argument to hunters, since the emotional path just doesn't work. I would really appreciate any suggestions you can offer. Thanks. Madeline.
Well,
I have advice for you about hunters. It's like you've got so many hours in your life. You've got so much time, and you're only on this earth for a limited amount of time. Whatever higher being you aspire to, or, however you believe you've just appeared here, whatever, you're given that much time. You shouldn't waste it on hunters.
True.
That's kind of what I think. I mean,
true.
Some people are really just too far gone. I kind of think about this as a triage approach sometimes, like, am I going to try to convince a hunter that going vegan is sensible? Because it's going to be a difficult sell. Or am I going to try to do something else with someone who maybe is a little more receptive to this idea?
Good point.
So that's my initial reaction. But recognizing that often you are in a situation where you're cornered, perhaps. You may have family members that hunt and they want to know or want to talk to you about it. I think that there are reasonable reactions to the hunting issue. I mean, first, hunters are always using this whole justification of the way nature is. And if they really believe that's the way nature is, they should go out with a fucking spear and hunt that way. Number one.
Yeah.
All right. And a loincloth or some shit like that. Okay. Number one. But number two, if they really do believe in this kind of quote unquote natural way, then they should respect the idea that populations rise and fall in the natural world,
Mhm.
and that they should be left to do that on their own devices.
Yeah, there's no reason for us to meddle. Hunting is completely unnecessary in today's world.
By and large,
For most people.
there are people. I mean,
Well, not in the whole world. In
Yeah.
Western society.
absolutely, but there are people around here who hunt for food because they have to.
They have to. It's sad.
That's not. I mean, that's a problem of the state.
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
of 30 years of Republican rule, and I count Clinton as a Republican, eroding the social welfare safety net of the state. I mean, that's a side effect of that. If we had proper ways of dealing with people who couldn't get access to the goods they need, we wouldn't need to worry about them going out to hunt. But in any case, some people do hunt for quote unquote sportsmen who vote their sport. I see the bumper stickers all the time around here. They're going to be difficult to convince, but if you can convince them in any way, shape, or form, I think the natural way argument is one possibility. And also, what we're doing with deer is, it's like we've created a problem whereby we have all these deer and the ex-urban fringe between kind of the new development and rural areas, and we're creating these problems by creating habitat that are in fact fairly friendly for deer, nice crunchy shrubs and things like that. So we're essentially creating a deer population problem in some ways. And then what are we going to do? We're going to kill them to solve the problem, right? Rather than looking at the development patterns underneath it all that affect these issues.
That's exactly what we do all the time. We encroach on the territory of certain animal, and then that animal becomes a quote unquote pest, and therefore we have to kill them. Like geese. Geese are not a pest. They travel back and forth. They need water. They need large fields of grass that they eat, and you deal with it.
Absolutely.
So there's a little goose poop. Who cares? Anyway.
Yeah. Do you want to do two more emails?
Sure.
Or are we getting two emails?
No, we haven't done emails in a while, so
All right,
we should do
pick
them.
one. Did I read the last one? Yeah, I did.
Yeah. This one's from Kelvin. He says, I have been listening to your podcast since October of last year, and like many of my fellow listeners have verbalized, I thoroughly enjoy every minute of your podcast. This is actually my first time writing to the both of you, and I have decided to take this opportunity to tell you about something that I saw today. The story goes like this. My brother and I both decided to drive down to the local half-price bookstore today. Our intention was to browse and look at books we have no real intention of purchasing. Well, while I continued to browse the political science section, my brother went and browsed elsewhere. A couple minutes later, he tapped my shoulder, and directed my attention to yet another abominable, I can't say that. Yeah, cookbook from, yes, you guessed it, Rachel Ray. Now,
not vegan.
Not at all. Now, considering the fact that I am not only a vegan but also a feminist, the thing that stuck out almost immediately was the title of this cookbook, Guy Food. Yes, you read that correctly, Guy Food. I stared at this facade of a cookbook with extreme abhorrence and detest for quite some time. I'm sure that you both realize, just as I did, how unbelievably sexist and morally bankrupt the title of this book is. Well, I'm sure you're both very busy, so I'm going to go ahead and abridge this email. I would like to hear your thoughts on this, and Rachel Ray also. My brother and I both enjoy your podcast very much. It has been an illimitable source of information for the both of us. Kelvin from Texas.
Rachel Ray can
eat me.
That's really loud. Sorry. Jenna?
Yeah, she's just evil.
I actually had the unfortunate circumstance of having to read about Rachel Ray the other day while I was going to get my haircut. Because People Magazine.
Right.
There's People Magazine or Jane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck.
They're both trashy. So, yeah.
It's like, in that situation, which do you pick?
And they're both kind of have got their comedic value. So
they both suck.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was reading about Rachel Ray. So, your turn.
Yeah. So just her well, exactly. It's abominable because she upholds this stereotype that guys need to eat real food, and it's all, of course, manly and meaty and really bad for you, and it's just absolutely fucking ridiculous.
How come it doesn't work?
What happened?
I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
Rachel Ray, not you.
Yes, I figured as much.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just makes your blood boil.
It does. It's a very frustrating situation, and she's so popular. She's on. She's got how many? She's
got an amazing number of cookbooks. She's got like magazines. She's got a talk show and a Food Network show.
She's just a trolly little thing too.
She is.
I'm sure someone's gonna get mad at me for that, but who cares? I don't care anymore. Yeah. So it's ridiculous. Guy food.
Upholding the stereotype that guys can't possibly be vegetarians because it's not manly enough.
Well, if you don't eat meat, your balls shrivel up and fall off.
Of course, and soy makes you gay.
It totally does. That explains so much now.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Anyway, moving on. Next email we have here is from Carl. Carl says, first of all, I'd like to declare myself a fanatic Vegan Freak Radio listener. I appreciate your work, and you succeed with brightening my day pretty often. But now let's move straight to the crucial point. And I hope it's okay with... I'm realizing now I should have asked Carl if it was okay if I read this on the air, but... Yeah, here's the thing. If you send us stuff, we assume it's okay to read on the air unless you say, don't read this on the air.
Right.
And people do say that on occasion. Anyway, Carl says, but now let's move straight to the crucial point. I'm in a relationship with a murderer. She's vegetarian, at least, and I don't know what to do anymore. I pretty much tried everything. I'd consider my argument well-founded and convincing. I brought to her all the information I got, though I had to act as subtle as possible not to scare her too much. Nevertheless, she hasn't turned vegan yet. I prepare lunch every day, so most of the time she eats vegan too. She even ceased to buy leather shoes, but the last step is obstructed by her family, I guess. She's enormously family related at the age of 18, and they do everything to keep her on their side of exploitation. But she eventually has a conscience, and she mostly refuses to eat animal products on her own, thus getting mad at me for spoiling her food. I already told her I couldn't move on like that, but that I loved her too much to quit because of it. I just couldn't imagine our future life together anymore. She turned mad again, got upset and stuff, but nothing changed. And everyone keeps telling her not to go vegan, even her stupid homeopath who really doesn't know what he's talking about. Really? A homeopath doesn't know what they're talking about? Anyway, I probably offended someone out there.
I'm sure.
But anyway, it's just pseudoscience. So that's what's going on. We lose topic every time we just go back into it. So there never is a real argument. When there is, she gets emotional. I have to bring back harmony again, but nothing changes. What shall I do? I'd be thankful for any compassion or maybe even helpful thoughts. Keep on with your encouraging program. I really love it. And most cordial greetings from Switzerland, where inhumane animal exploitation predominates every single part of your life. Yours faithfully, Carl. P.S. Deserting her is not an option. Patience, I guess?
Yeah. Sometimes in relationships... Well, see, the thing is, you want her to go vegan for herself. You don't want her to go vegan for you. Because if she if she goes vegan for you and for you only, then she's just going to resent you and the relationship, and she probably won't stay vegan in the long term.
Good
but
point.
if she goes vegan for herself, then I think she's more likely to stick with it and really understand the reasons behind it. And I think sometimes in relationships, it helps to hear it from someone else besides you.
I think that's true too.
Honestly. I don't know. Maybe you can go. I don't know what's available in Switzerland.
Don't play this show for her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but maybe go to a vegan potluck or something if they're in your area, or maybe go meet another vegan and you can talk and she can maybe see. I don't know.
It may require time. Some people take time to come around to the idea. It takes some people a long time to get there, and it's difficult and it makes you impatient and you want it to happen. But on the other hand, you can't force someone into what is essentially a fairly big choice about your life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not that difficult, not that impossible, but it is a big choice. So it's the kind of choice that I think the person has to make on their own. Perhaps what I will do is open this up to our listeners.
Yes, because we have a lot of listeners who are in a mixed relationship. So they have omni spouses, or so maybe they some people were married and then they went vegan. Some people marry an omni. They've all kinds of different types of relationships, and sometimes the person goes vegan and sometimes they never do. But a lot of people make it work.
But vegetarian's even better than meat eater.
True.
When it comes down to it. I mean, if that's what you have, if that's what you got to take, that's what you got to take. But I think you can probably ask for more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of try to make, I mean, the logical argument about vegetarianism is that, it's participating in these very things that apparently she finds quite problematic. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, but I will open that one up to our listeners. I think that they may have a better sense of how to handle this than we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're lucky.
We are indeed.
We are both vegan together. So
I'd throw your ass out if you weren't. All right. Are we done with the voicemails? Emails.
Yes.
Show at veganfreakradio.com is how you can get in touch with us, or on our website, All right, let's move into some voicemail.
Time once again for some vegan freak voicemail. Maybe we'll hear from a hot chick
or a choice male.
Callers make us happy and help us keep our sanity, even if all they wanna do is fucking complain about the shitload of profanity.
Now, to begin this week's voicemail segment, I don't want to come off like an ungrateful podcast host. I want to make clear that we very much appreciate any correspondence that we receive from you, be it vocal or written. However, I think it might be useful for us to talk a little bit about voicemail and possibly the best way to make your message known and heard by an audience and the way to make it fit comfortably into a show.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Jenna?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So I think you could do us a favor and your own message a favor. And today's voicemails actually do a really quite nice job with this. But I think that you could do us both a favor by thinking ahead of time, making a little outline of what you might want to say. It doesn't have to be thorough. You shouldn't be, you don't have to read a script or anything, but just a couple points, because sometimes this is what happens. It sounds easy. You think you're going to call, you're going to say something, and it seems really easy at the time, but then you start and you're like, fuck, I'm being recorded. And you start you start kind of fumbling over your words. I do this all the time, like when I'm leaving people voicemail. I'm horrible at voicemail. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm coming from that perspective. So you want to do that. And also, in general, if you've got something really compelling to say, more than 2 minutes is cool, but 2 minutes is a good amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So 2-minute voicemails are good because what they help us do is to play more voicemails. We've got longer ones. We have to play fewer. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of like in France when they shortened the work week, 35 hours. So
although now with Sarkozy, that might change.
Probably it will, because that's what conservatives do.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, we're just trying to we're trying to advocate a more kind of thoughtful voicemailing policy, or and it isn't to say that we don't appreciate every voicemail we get, because we do. I want to make clear on that. I don't want to offend anybody or upset anybody, but it would just be helpful for us from that perspective. All right, are we happy?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get into the voicemails.
Hey, Vegan Freaks, it's Audrey from Michigan again. I'm just calling because, I was listening to your podcast, and I was inspired to tell you about a little thing that happened today. I was very happy because I'm currently in French one right now, and we are having a food day, which we would bring in French food, and I brought in a vegan quiche with spinach and broccoli and mushrooms and onions and tons of garlic and tons of yummy stuff like that. And a chocolate mousse, which I made out of avocado and stuff. So brought it in. The quiche wasn't as popular because I think it was too green for most high schoolers. Ew, green. No, never eat green. Heaven forbid somebody eats something green, especially high schoolers, whatever. And then, but the mousse, it actually came out more like a pudding, I think, but it was still pretty popular. A lot of people asked me what was in it. I was just like, avocado. And they were like, what? So it was kind of nice to get that out there. I talked to a few people about my being vegan, because I don't really talk to anybody, because it's my first hour, and it's like, in the morning, But yeah, so it was pretty well received. I did receive some compliments on the quiche from a few people who actually ventured out and tried it. So and I also got my vegetarian friend to try the vegan mousse and quiche, and my omnivore friend actually tried the mousse and the quiche also. So that and he liked it, and which totally surprised me. But I was very happy because of that. So I just want to say, guys rock, and yeah. Oh, and Peter Singer sucks. Okay, that's it.
Thanks, Audrey.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
That's good. See, just something little like that can actually really open people's eyes to what veganism is.
And open their mind.
Yeah. So just the fact that they wanted to talk to you about it, and that they showed, okay, hey, I can do French food and it's vegan.
It creates a conversation.
So, yeah.
It's a conversation opener.
Exactly.
And, I don't want to sound like, I don't know, some kind of crazy conversion type guy, but I think high school and college are very key moments in the lives of getting people to think about veganism.
Definitely.
Because, that's when people are starting to actually break away from the kind of identities they were given by their families and to develop their own identity. And it's a time in people's lives when they're open to making choices about their lives and to owning those choices.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that I, I'm out there to convert the world. Actually, I am out there to convert the world, but to veganism. But I think that's a good time to get people to think about these things. So Audrey, very well done.
Yes.
Thank you. And Peter Singer does suck.
Hey, Vegan Freaks, Bob and Jenna. This is Sion from Southern California. First of all, I wanted to express my gratitude. I was a vegetarian for a few months prior to finding your podcast and my continued reading on animal rights. And I have to say that this podcast really helped me and was a great influence in me turning vegan. And I listen to it all the time. It just kind of helps me to reaffirm my commitment to veganism, especially at times when I feel a little down and a little alone. So thank you so much.
We're here for you.
I did have a question. I was wondering, sometimes, like with Cliff Bars or different other, soy protein energy bars, it'll say may contain traces of dairy. I was wondering what you guys thought about the traces of dairy, because I will read the ingredients and it doesn't have anything that's dairy in it. But the traces part, it just kind of bothers me, and I was wondering what you guys think about this stuff. Anyways, I'd love to hear myself on the podcast. I think that would be so amazing. So if you could, that'd be awesome.
There you go.
Thanks again. Love the show. Keep it up.
Well, that is a good question, and something actually we got 2 voicemails about the same question, which I thought was very strange and
At
random.
the same time.
It was
Weird.
so random. Anyway, well, I think my answer would be is if it really does bother you, then don't eat the processed foods that contain that label.
Yeah.
Because they can be avoided. There are some completely vegan products out there. Like I think Lara bars don't have that at all because they're pretty much just raw.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they don't have that label at all.
It's a common problem with chocolate, I think, because the way
Yeah.
that it's difficult to clean the shared chocolate equipment.
Exactly. Oh, and the origins of it is, well, it's an allergy thing just in case a trace amount might,
Right.
make you explode or something. But and also because the way processed food goes is that there aren't that many dedicated vegan plants that if something, went through the plant before that wasn't vegan and then they clean out the equipment and then they do the vegan stuff. So there might be some left over. But so if it does really bother you, just either buy the processed stuff that does not have that label and don't eat processed stuff.
Good
That's
answer.
pretty much your way to go.
Good answer.
Yeah.
And thanks for calling.
Indeed.
And I'm glad we could help you out.
Hey, Bob and Jenna, this is Emily. I just wanted to respond to something that I can't remember who it was, but she was talking about how she teaches the other food pyramid to her class, the vegan food pyramid. And I just want to say more power to her. This semester I've been doing a series of papers about the FDA and the USDA and the corruption that they have that's just completely fucking rampant throughout their organization. And I just need to say, fuck the food guide pyramid. It's absolute. It's just lies. That's all it is it's just a whole bunch of lies. And I just want to say more power to your listener. I think that's great what she's doing. I actually, since I've been writing these papers, my classmates have gotten interested in it, but a lot of them just think that I'm like the crazy vegan or, the one who just like pushes it on everyone, which I am not for at all. It's just not my style. And, so the last day of classes, I actually brought in a batch of vegan muffins and didn't tell anyone they were vegan because I figured they would assume it, but everyone told me how great they were and how much they loved them, and it just made me feel really good. And I told everyone that it was vegan at the end, and they were, oh my gosh, this is vegan, blah, 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 which was kind of cool. But, basically, this comes, my whole message, just the point is, fuck the FDA, fuck the USDA, and if anybody has a problem with it, here's a little bit of shameless promotion, but if anyone has a problem with it, come talk to me at my blog, which is yumdc.wordpress.com, and I'll get to you the reasons, because if I start talking about them now, I'm just going to get too angry and won't get any work done. So thank you so much. I love what you guys do. Keep doing it. Have a good day. Bye.
And she's absolutely right. I mean, the entire process is driven by the various commodity promotion boards, milk commodity promotion board and the meat production board and all that stuff. And I think Marion Nestle's book, Food Politics, deals with this question in a lot of depth.
Yeah. And actually the book Slaughterhouse, too, addresses the USD failure to regulate slaughterhouses. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. And now we have one from Jeff. What?
Hi, Bob and Jenna. It's Jeff in Toronto. Just started listening to your May 3rd podcast, and I noticed that Jenna is definitely not sounding very well. And I just wanted to counsel you to make sure you take plenty of time to heal, because myself and a coworker just got over very bad colds with a lot of coughing, hoarseness, and pain. And as a matter of fact, my doctor said it was more like a respiratory flu that could even turn into pneumonia if you're not careful. So please don't push yourself. Get plenty of rest, drink plenty of liquids, and we'll still be listening for you. Always a big fan. Take care. Bye.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, very sweet.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, yeah, actually I did take, a day or two off. And luckily, I had a day or two off from teaching now since it's the end of the semester.
And you sound normal.
Yes. I'm feeling much better now.
Although I was reading on the forums, apparently some people like your huskier voice.
Yeah, so.
But thanks for that, Jeff. And Jeff's a long-time listener. He's been listening to the show for a really long time, and he runs a website over at, well, I have it in my feed reader. I'll put it, if I remember, I'll put it in the show notes. I'll try to remember.
Okay, cool.
All right, next one we have.
There's a cowgirl. I'm new to the forums, and I love your podcast. Thank you so much for putting all your hard work in. I wanted to give you another comment for a future show, in case you'd like to use it, all about the trials and tribulations of being a vegan around incredibly stupid people. So my story today just happened. I was at work doing a presentation, or about to do a presentation, and this woman who I don't know, I was giving a presentation elsewhere. I don't know her. I don't work with her. She sees what I'm eating, which is hummus and tabbouleh and pita, which is an excellent fast food vegan meal. And she comes up to me and says, "Oh, what are you eating?" I said, "Well, I'm eating this." She's like, "Oh, you must be vegetarian." I was like, "Actually, I'm a vegan." And she's like, "Oh, I saw this really interesting episode on the news the other day, and there was this woman, and she got microdermabrasion, and Dr. Bruce Hensel, who's really smart, he couldn't figure out what was wrong with her, why she wouldn't heal, and then they realized it was because she was vegetarian." And I said to her, "I don't think a vegan would get microdermabrasion." And she said, "Oh, no, they weren't vegan, they were just vegetarian." And I said, "Well, it's probably the superbugs that were created by injecting cows with all kinds of antibiotics that she's infected with, which is why she's not healing." And she's like, "Oh." And later on, she comes up to me and she says, "Hey, I work with a vegan. That's how I know about this kind of stuff. Her name's Andrea. Do you know her?" To which I responded, "Well, that's sort of like asking a gay person if they know another gay person. More than just two of us in the world." And then she walked off. She had nothing left to say. Oh, sometimes it's so frustrating being in the know. Okay, well, thanks.
So that my chicken message was kind of messed up as you heard the beginning. So the end was cut off. It's weird. But I thought it was funny. It's like, do you know her?
Yeah.
But actually, it is such a small universe. It really is.
Yeah, true.
It really is.
Like if you live in a small town, you might know the other vegan in town kind of thing.
We don't know too many local vegans though.
No,
because we're stridently antisocial.
We are. It's horrible.
It's not horrible. We're
introverts.
Well, that
and busy.
And well, I mean, the time that we would spend normally being social with people is time that we spend usually doing stuff for vegan freak.
True.
Randomness. So.
True.
And work.
Watching TV.
And watching TV. Well, we don't want that much TV though.
No, just like on the weekends to relax.
Yep. Okay, so anyway. I thought that was funny, like we all know each other.
I know, it's so funny. But people do come up with the weirdest comments. Like I was talking to someone the other day, it was a PhD, and she goes...
Wait, you're making the assumption that having a PhD means you're intelligent.
No, I know, but...
I work with these people all day, every day, and I can tell you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, well, And she offered me a scallop wrapped in bacon at this soiree we were at the other day, and I'm like, no, thank you. She's like, oh yeah, you're a vegetarian or whatever.
Wow, that's an
right?
Orthodox Jew's nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I was like, no, thanks. And she's like, oh, so you don't eat fish? I'm like, no, I don't eat fish or the bacon that's wrapped around it either. It's like,
You could pick the fish off. You could pick the bacon off
oh
and
right,
eat the fish.
Right? Yeah, no problem. Okay, yeah. It all smelled really vile, though. It was horrible. It smelled so
That makes me feel a
bad.
little ill just to think about it.
But the surprising twist, though, was I was actually talking to another person who's a vegetarian before I was offered this horrendous, vile thing. And she was like, yeah, fish isn't a vegetable. I was like, whoa. A vegetarian knows that fish isn't a vegetable. How about that? So, yeah.
Vegans don't eat eggs.
Or fish.
Right. So.
Or any of that stuff.
But anyway.
Cool.
Okay.
Ready?
Hi, Jenna and Bob. This is Sean. Good Life Sean on the forums. I just thought I'd give you a nice little drunk dial here. So, yeah, I was just goofing around, looking around for animal rights news, not related to PETA. And, of course, I found something related to PETA that pissed me the fuck off. It was pictures and, of course, a derogative argument, or a derogative article about... The picture was animal rights protesters covered in artificial blood lie on the pavement during anti-fur protests. Okay, so don't get me wrong, I'm not for fur. I think exploiting any animal for any reason, non-human animal for any reason, is a bad thing. But it drives me nuts that dipshits like this get the attention. It's not the people doing a positive thing, and it's not people making an actual effect. I mean, you know, you get so many people that backlash against PETA because they do stupid shit like this. But in reality, PETA is nothing but a welfarist, stupid fucking front. Okay? Here's my thing. I totally agree with you and Gary Francione that veganism is the opening thing. That, you know, veganism is that act of living abolition in your everyday life. And that's the thing. If people would see that, and people would really push that idea, I think we'd have much more success than dumb shits going up and throwing buckets of red paint on people. Because here's the thing, when you throw a bucket of red paint on people, you know, most people that own fur are rich enough that they're going to be able to go, okay, well, you know what, I'm just going to go buy another fur coat and fuck these people, whatever. It just really pisses me off that a quote-unquote animal, or the ethical treatment of animals would do something like this. It's like you're adding to the problem. Destroying property is not the way to get people. By destroying these property, we create more of a demand because these people are going to go out and buy it again. So the thing is, I think we need to really concentrate on veganism, and we really need to concentrate on doing good in our everyday life. And, you know, fuck this shit that makes those assholes seem like extremists. Because frankly, here's the thing. They don't want every animal to be treated ethically and to be free, because then they cease to exist. So that's, you know, the thing is with these large organizations, if they don't have anything to complain about, they cease to exist. And that's what I think I'm trying to get at here, that it's like, why do we put ourselves behind these organizations when their only goal is really to maintain their own interests? I think, you know, with what Gary said, that we have to maintain our grassroots organization, that by doing this, we really do need to, we really need to concentrate on small organizations that have no interests other than every single species on this earth being treated equally. And I think that's really what I want to rant about. But anyways, I'm sorry if the coherence of this was absolutely ununderstandable. And, you know, keep up the good work, guys. I went a little odd vegan there for a while from January to March. I went just back to being vegetarian, but, you know, you guys have brought me back around, so keep up the good work, and, yep, I look forward to the next podcast. All right, bye.
We got to keep you vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. But I agree with you about PETA and about many of the larger organizations as well. Well, I think what they've done is define animal rights activism through these ridiculous media stunts.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, they have done our activism for us and robbed the movement of the human potential and the human creativity that it needs to be a vital, interesting, and active social movement that will challenge exploitation at all levels of the social structure.
Right. They have ceased to educate anyone about anything. I mean,
Exactly.
it's all about media. It's all about getting attention and stunts.
And you know, I agree with most of your analysis about PETA. I don't think that they want animal exploitation to continue necessarily. I mean, I don't know. I can't guess what their motives are in that way, right?
Right.
But certainly by promoting humane meat and all that other stuff, happy meat, happy fucking meat.
Happy meat.
I think that they put themselves in a very problematic position.
Yeah. And I would love it if someday vegan-free Grado was not necessary. That would be wonderful.
That would be good.
A glorious day.
We will always be necessary though, because
I know.
unless
we really do some changes at the roots.
But I mean, even if the revolution happens, man, like we're gonna need someone to entertain the masses,
right?
So,
right.
But in any case, I agree, and we were listening to the radio this morning when we were eating breakfast, and the radio show we were listening to was talking about this very issue of putting. Actually, they were talking about how J-Lo has a death threat out on her by PETA. That's what they said. I don't know if this is true. I know PETA doesn't do death threats as an organization, but that apparently someone has threatened to kill J-Lo because she's wearing fur, and she now has increased her bodyguard
entourage,
complement, or whatever you want to call it, entourage. Yeah, they don't have compliments; they have entourages, right?
Yes.
So, and they were talking about the PETA being an extreme group, and I was like, they're not extreme; they're reactionary, and they're backwards.
Yeah.
And the kind of activism they're doing is pointless. I mean, targeting fur is. I mean, I understand why, right? They pick something that they think that most of America is repulsed by, because what they're trying to do is to argue, well, these are just rich people who are using fur. I mean, it's the same reason they pick on foie gras, right?
Right.
It's like, what average person is not going to be happy to see one of those rich fuckers get it? You know what I mean? Like, people get uptight with that shit.
Yeah.
So that's why they pick on foie gras. That's why they pick on fur. But foie gras and fur are just like chicken and leather and eggs and everything else.
Right. So throwing red paint on a fur coat might make you feel a whole lot better, but it does nothing to educate anyone about the fact that, why is fur wrong?
Exactly.
It doesn't tell people that fur is wrong because animals aren't ours to kill like that.
Well, they do talk about why fur is wrong. I mean, they talk about the animals are not ours to kill like that. But at the same time, you have people who are going to those things wearing fucking leather, or who will say nothing about leather. Why are we not throwing paint on leather jackets if that's how we really feel?
Right, exactly, yeah.
Why are we not throwing paint on people who are buying steaks in the grocery store? And I'm not saying I think that that's an important or useful tactic. I'm just saying that it is fucked up. I think we need to examine the roots of exploitation, where they are, where they come from, and what they mean, and use those to attack the movement. Not to attack them. That's what Pete is doing.
Right.
Use those to attack the problem.
Right.
Yes?
Yes.
That's it for our voicemail.
267-295-1944. Write the number down on your refrigerator door. Add the 001 country code if you call us from Vienna. That's how you leave a voicemail for good old Bob and Jenna.
All right, so that'll do it for this week's show.
Yeah, I think we are done.
Yeah, I'm feeling kind of...
Beat.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden, whew.
I know.
We talked for an hour and a half. Oh my God.
Well, it requires a lot of energy,
It does,
actually.
it's draining.
A lot of people think we just sit down and do this and randomly talk about whatever, but we actually have to plan
try
and
to be
think
prepared.
We do. But we do I often forget, and maybe you don't, Jenna. I often forget what I say here on the show.
I do too, completely. Like right afterwards, we were like, "What the hell did we talk about?"
Yeah.
So it's a good thing we actually have an outline because otherwise we totally forget.
I'm like the guy from Memento. I'm like, people are like, remember when you talked about whatever, and I'm like, no.
No.
It could even be like last week's show, and I don't remember.
No.
It's a little dangerous.
Or people ask like, "Oh, what show did you talk about X on?" I'm like, "I don't know. We've done 70 of these."
That's true. This is our 70th
So I have
show.
no idea.
So yeah, people. And the other thing that sometimes is kind of funny is that we'll get emails on occasion from people, and they clearly are listening to a show in the archives, like show 10 or something, right? And they're engaged with an idea in show 10, and they write to us like in the middle of a thought, like we know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So if you do that, if you want to write to us about things in the past, make sure you give it a little context.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're done this week.
Yeah, okay.
Subscribers will be back over the weekend, probably on Sunday afternoon for a subscriber-only show. Otherwise, we'll see everybody else next week. Thank you for listening. Show at veganfreakradio.com. Veganfreakradio.com is our website. And stop by our forums. We'll talk to you all later. Bye.
Bye.
What if a monkey made you a sandwich? Would you eat it then?